Hey everybody, how's it going? So we are just a couple of days away from my very first gig as a touring sound guy, and I figured now is the best time to show you guys all of the gear that I will be using as a traveling sound guy. Now the first and most important thing that I want to talk about is the console, and that's this guy right here. This is the Behringer Wing Compact. This is one of those consoles that bang for buck value, it just can't be beat. It has excellent sounding Midas preamps. It has tons of customizability on it. The wing system, once you get used to it, is exceptional. And with a price tag of just $2,500, it really is bang for buck, one of the best values on the market as far as small compact consoles. If you're looking for your first console, or if you want a smaller console for your venue, your house of worship, etc., etc. I want to thank the people at Behringer for sending this to me. It really was one of the most amazing things in my whole journey as a sound guy and being on YouTube, is getting this console from Behringer months before it came out and being able to test it. So I'm really excited to use this. I've been fully acclimated with the system. I know the ins and outs of this board, and I'm really excited to use this console and its excellent effects, the preamps, the settings that you can do with this console. I'm just excited for it. Now, the one thing that I am missing though from the Wing Compact is a case, because I am still using the foam that came in the shipping of the console. And as you can see right here, this foam is cracked and it is snapped. And this is why I haven't been using the Wing Compact at any gigs for the last couple of weeks. I have been very patiently waiting to find a case to get this thing protected while traveling. I did find one made by ProX, but I got an email from them saying that it basically disintegrated and broke, damaged beyond repair in the shipping process. So they refunded my money, so thank you to ProX for that. But that made me realize that ProX might not be the best quality that I'm looking for. I don't know exactly what happened with the case that I ordered, but it was damaged enough where they refunded my money and I didn't order another one. The case also weighs 50 pounds, and even though the Wing Compact is a compact console, it still weighs a decent amount. So the console and case combination probably won't be good for traveling, especially if we travel by air. So I actually ordered a case by a company that is known for making cases for just about everything. They're not Pelican, but they're Pelican-like. There was another company called SKB that is making a case specifically for the Wing Compact, but that's not coming out until late March, and I really don't want to wait till late March to get a case. So I ordered a case from these guys, and I will link it in the description below of where I ordered it from. It should be coming chronologically as I'm filming this. Today is Tuesday. I should be getting it in 2 days, so just in time for the show on Friday. And I'm excited because it's very light, the foam is high quality, and it's airplane safe, which means if I travel worldwide anywhere, the console can be shipped anywhere, and that will be amazing. The one downside is I have to take the console out of the case in order to use it. Now, I particularly don't care. That doesn't bother me, but to some of you, it might. So buy whatever case you want and whatever fits your need. So that's the console that I'll be working with. Let's move on to the stage box in this guy right here. By the way, the case that is holding the stage box is made by Gator. And one particularly good thing about this case is it has wheels on it. So I can just roll the stage box into the venue. I don't have to physically hold it if I'm going up a couple flights of stairs. Anyone who travels with gear knows that if you gotta carry heavy shit upstairs, it's a drag. So I like the wheels because it saves the strength in my arms, legs, and back from having to carry this by hand. A stage box and my in-ear monitoring system for any of my studio recordings. Now, the stage box is a Behringer S32, and to answer all the questions that are going to be inevitably going, well, why didn't you get the Midas DL32? And that's a very simple answer. The Midas DL32 is almost twice as expensive as the S32. And even though the preamps, yes, are different and only slightly better, it's not worth that much of a price increase to get the Midas over the Behringer. Plus, I use a Behringer S32 at Dingbats. I've been using it for the 4.5, almost 5 years now that I worked there, and I've never once had an issue with it. And you guys seem to not care that I'm using an S32 at Dingbats because you guys hear my mixes all the time. The stage box there is an S32. Full disclosure, the S32 cost me $700. The DL32 would have cost me around $1,500. So significant price increase to get the Midas over the Behringer, and I just couldn't justify spending twice as much money for only slightly better preamps. And on the very top of the rack here, you will see the Behringer P24 hub system. This is going to be what Aviom systems used to be in the studio. I have a couple of P24 mixers over there underneath my desk for when I do studio recordings, but essentially this is going to be my headphone control system. I'm gonna have all the microphones go into the stage box, and I have another AES cable that goes from the stage box to the P24 hub, and I can use the XLR outputs here to connect to the P24 mixers for when I record bands and they need their own individual headphone mixes. And I'm not gonna use this at all while traveling. The band I'm working with has their own IEM rig, so this is completely irrelevant for me as far as touring goes. But for bands I'm gonna be working in a studio environment with, this is gonna be amazing because each musician can now have complete independent control of their headphone mixes, so I don't have to micro adjust everything in Logic, so the whole band can agree on one headphone mix that sounds mediocre. They can now have their own complete independent mixes, so they're all happy when I track. And I think for my use, this is probably the best use for the P24. Now, we have to connect the console and stage box together, which is why I got this guy right here. This is a AES cable. It's 200 feet long, and this is wound up in a cable wheel. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna take this end, plug it into the console, walk this to the stage, and then have this end right here plug into the stage box. There's really nothing much more I can say about the cable. It's the specifications that are needed for an S32 and Wing Compact. So this will work fine. I tested it by leaving it on all day for 8 hours, and there was nothing wrong with it. It worked flawlessly. So its specifications are correct for what the S32 and Wing need to work properly. So it's great. And because I'm a little OCD with cleanliness, I like the fact that the cable is nicely organized on this wheel right here. So I can easily wind up the cable and store it nicely after a show. So now that we got the main stuff taken care of, let's address microphones. So for my hi-hat, I'm going to be using the Octava MK012. Now, this microphone is perfect for hi-hats, and if you want a small diaphragm condenser on a guitar, specifically acoustic, this sounds phenomenal. I love this thing, and it's super light, and it fits on a stand perfectly. So I have a little mini stand in the box right here that is going to house this, and I'm going to be miking up the bottom side of the hi-hat. Now let's talk about guitar mic. For guitars, I have a Sennheiser E906. I got this guy just a couple of months ago. I've used it only a handful of times, and this sounds phenomenal. This is one of the best main guitar recording microphones I've ever used, and it sounds great. Now, even though Surrender to Eden uses a direct guitar sound, in case the DI boxes are failing one night and we need to use a mic to, essentially back up the recording or get the guitar sound out of front of house, this is going to be the backup. And now let's talk about my latest purchase, which are overhead microphones. These guys are a pair of Lewitt LCT 140 Airs. Now, admittedly, I've never used these yet, so I can't give you my personal experience working with these yet because I just simply haven't used them. But I've heard enough demos of them online in microphone shootouts between the KM184s and several other small diaphragm condensers that are very popular for overheads, and these just sounded phenomenal to me. So I bought these just based on watching reviews on YouTube. I especially love the fact that they are lighter than paper clips. These mics are super, super light, so I won't have to worry that much about the microphone stands sagging because the weight of the microphone is just too much for the stand to handle. My former overheads, which are these guys right here, Sometimes if I didn't tighten the stand tight enough when, I had to tighten it so excruciatingly over the limit to just make sure that the neck didn't like sag, because the way I mic my overheads is I like to have the microphones like way up there covering the whole kit. So these are my former overheads, and they are large, heavy diaphragm condensers. The Lewitt's are going to be amazing for overheads. And speaking of my old overheads, these are now my room microphones. So these are what I'm going to use to record the room sound with. I'm going to have these at front of house, and I'm going to have another stand right by the console, and these are going to be a stereo pair of room mics capturing the sound of the room. These are MXL V63Ms. Now I picked up a pair of these for about 120 bucks, and I got a steal on them. The good thing is these are extremely bright, cymbals come in crystal clear, and the high end is super crispy. The downside is it is a hot signal. I'm gonna have to be careful with how much gain I put on these to capture the room. And I'm willing to bet I'm not gonna have to put any additional gain on these microphones to capture the room. So I'm gonna have a pair of these going to the Matrix, which is gonna go to the stream that you guys listen to, and also in the multi-track recording, so I can incorporate a stereo room sound with my overall mix. And finally, let's go over what's in this bag right here. These are my main drum microphones. So for kick, I'm going to be using the ever so trustworthy Audix D6. This thing is just a powerhouse as far as kick drum microphones go. I almost never have to do any additional EQing with this thing, and it just sounds phenomenal. So I have one, Surrender to Eden has one, and the drummer is going to be using 2 functional kick drums. So we're going to have 2 Audix D6s. One is mine, one is the band's, and that is going to be our kick setup. Let's go to snare drum, and I'm going to be using the best snare microphone I've ever used, which is a Shure Beta 57A. So this guy right here is my go-to for snare. It's my go-to secondary mic for guitars. And when you guys hear me do the Mixdown Meltdown voiceovers, this is the microphone I'm using most of the time. It sounds great. It has an extremely low signal to noise ratio, and there could be an entire orchestra playing in the background. If the microphone's pointing this way, the mic's not going to pick up anything going on back there. So the supercardioid pattern on this is exceptional. Drummers fear this because they don't have any hi-hat bleed into the snare mic. So I love this thing. It's phenomenal. Let's go to toms. So annoyingly, and I'm kidding when I say annoyingly, Russ, the drummer for Surrender to Eden, has 5 toms plus a pair of congas. So the congas and 2 of the toms are going to be getting the ever reliable SM57. This guy is going to go on, like I said, the stereo pair of congas, 1 more on the first rack tom, the second on the second rack tom, and the other 3 toms are going to be using the MD421 Kompact. And these 3 are going to be just clipping onto the other 3 toms. So he's going to have his floor tom, second floor tom, and another large rack tom that these guys are going to capture. And that is about it, guys. As far as microphones and gear goes, as you can see, I don't have a lot of stuff to carry with me, and I could fit all of this in the back of my hatchback. Now, on the floor in front of the table is a large bag of, I think, 7 or 8 microphone stands that I'm going to be bringing with me just in case if we need it. Because like I said in a previous vlog, I want us to be completely self-efficient and not have to use any of the venue stuff. The only other thing that I have is over to my right here is basically a large moving crate. Let's see if I can get it over here. Is this large moving crate, and as you can see inside are all of my XLR cables, and that crate is going to be holding all of my microphones. So essentially I will have the stage box, the console, the bag of microphone stands, and this large moving box, and that is about it as far as gear goes. So the only other thing that I haven't gone over yet is cameras, because I'm going to be streaming the show, and I'm going to be streaming every show I work, and I'm also going to be recording every show that we play on film in multicam form so that I can edit the show in post later on. So let's start with a stage wide shot, and I'm going to be using my ever reliable Sony RX100 Mark VII. This is a camera that I use all the time for my streams, and you guys seem to like it. You guys don't complain about the camera angle at all or the image quality. This thing is also a powerhouse of a camera. I love it for how compact it is. It can fit right in my pocket. This is my only traveling camera that I bring with me if I go on vacation somewhere and I want to take better quality photos than on just my iPhone. So this is the only camera that I will travel with because my other main cameras are way too expensive for me to fly with, and I just don't trust it. Except I'm gonna have to trust it on tour. So right off the bat, what you're seeing me on right now is my Sony A7RV. That's gonna have the 50mm focal length lens on it. And in my bag, just off the camera to the left, is my Sony A7 III with the Sigma 14-24 2.8, which is the lens that I'm using right now. Now, my other cameras are going to be the vlogging camera that I'm going to be using to vlog the entire days are my Osmo Pocket 3. This is probably going to be the drummer cam. I haven't decided what camera is going to go where yet, but I'm also going to finally be using my Action 3 and Action 4 GoPro style action cameras. These are going to go above the drummer, probably just seeing the whole stage wide shot from the back. And I'm probably going to station one of these on one of the venues, like walls or whatever, just so I could get a diagonal shot of the stage. So we'll see what happens. The Action 4 is going to be my main POV vlogging camera. So when I'm done vlogging the setup of the show, I'll just use the Action 4 to go off to the side and get a good side stage angle. I think I'm going to use the Osmo Pocket 3 as a keyboard cam. I don't know where this is going to go yet. I haven't decided what angle I'm going to need, but the image quality on this is really good, so I think this could be a good B or C cam. I'm thinking the RX100 right here is going to get the stage wide shot, and the A7RV is going to get a nice close-up of maybe John the singer, which means I can probably get this to get a wide shot of the keyboards, guitars, and bass. I don't know yet. I haven't really planned that far ahead yet. I also need to take the stage size into consideration too, so I'll just figure it out as I go along. But every show will have a multi-cam recording and multi-track recording, and I will share all that with you guys later on. But that's it, guys. This is my entire touring rig setup for 2025 and beyond. If I make any changes to this setup, I will be sure to let you guys know. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.